In Search of Knowledge, Past, Present, and Future is a series of unique programs that are designed to show our history as a living history rather than just a list of names and facts about people in the past. It is a Black history lesson, a vocational tool to interest people in various occupations, and a mini museum containing books, artifacts, and photos of notable blacks bringing an original art exhibit directly to the classroom. Caroline M. Merrill is an amazing woman. For her 90th birthday, she received a plaque that read, "Old age ain't for sissies." She was a licensed practical nurse who worked with geriatric patients, but said working with babies was the best job she had. A lifelong resident of Ardmore, PA, she enjoys church, music, humor, and exercising. This will be a two-part special. Part 1 will be an interview of Miss Caroline, and in Part 2, you will hear her share her tips for living a long, healthy life. Miss Caroline, welcome to In Search of Knowledge. Now, I've read the book from the Delaney sisters, who also lived to be 100, and you are 101.
Yes.
And so I'm just honored to be able to sit and talk to you and get some of that wisdom that you've gained in all these years of living. So I want to talk about your life. Where were you born?
I was born right here in Ardmore.
Okay.
It's over on Simpson Road is where I was born.
Were you born in a hospital?
No, home.
Okay.
I forget what you call those people.
Home birth?
Yeah.
It's
It's a name for the lady they used to take care of.
midwife.
Yes.
Midwife.
Yes.
Okay. And how many children were in your family?
You mean like mother and father's family?
Yes.
There were 4 girls and a boy, 5 of us.
Okay. And are you an only child, or those are your brothers and sisters?
No, I had 3 more sisters. There were 4 girls.
Okay.
And the brother came in at the end.
All right. And where did you spend your childhood?
In here in Ardmore, right on Simpson Road.
And what was Ardmore like when you were growing up?
Well, one thing I can always remember, the lamp-lighters. Of course, they don't have those now.
Okay.
But I can remember when my older sister, who was just 2 years older than me, went off to school that morning. And right here was a school, and Mom and Dad couldn't find me. So after a while, Dad said, "I'm going up to school to see where she is." There I was with my sister Gladys.
So you had started school early.
Ran off from home, went on up there, came on up here to the school.
Okay.
Yes, because we were just like this.
Now I understand that you had some health issues when you were first born.
Oh, well, I had bronchitis, terrible.
Okay.
During the night, I would cough so much. And my mom and dad, my grandmother, they all took turns holding me and sort of rocking me to see if I could get to sleep. That was the worst part of it.
Okay.
And at that time, they had a medicine out called Father John's cough medicine.
Oh, yes.
So they bought some, and every night before I went to bed, they gave me a teaspoonful of that to see if it would help. It did help some. I didn't cough as much during the night.
I understand that your father was very concerned about you when you were an infant.
Yeah. And when he would come home from lunch, he worked here in the auto car. I'm sure you've heard of the auto car up on Lancaster. He'd come home and he'd say to Mom, Is she? Mom said, "She's okay." Then he was fine, and she fed him his lunch, and he went back to work at the auto car.
How did he feel about that?
Oh my goodness. Well, Dad, he loved his children. He was one of those fathers who loved his children. And he would take my sister Gladys and I to the ball games on a Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And some Saturdays, my mother would get the 2 of us dressed. and go out with Dad wherever. He played the trombone. These were little orchestra out here. And we would go and hear them play. Like to Leonard P. Park, I do remember going there. They'd march around the little town here. That was always an occasion.
So where did you get your love of music? Was it from your father?
Yes, Dad loved. He loved to sing. Mom tried to sing. Poor dear, she always carried herself in the bucket because she couldn't. But anyway, I think that's where I got it from Dad.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Do you play any instruments?
No, I tried to play the piano, and the teacher at that time said, "You're trying to remember. Now stop. Just stop," she said. I'll never forget it. Aunt Lucille. And so anyway, finally got together, but I only could play a little bit.
But you sang in the choir?
Yes.
How long
I
did you
started
sing?
it when I was 10 years old. I sang with the senior choir because they needed an alto to balance solo.
Okay.
So they put me in the choir.
And that's quite an honor. They don't usually let 10-year-olds
You
in the
got
adult
that
choir.
right. And that, you know, that had to be a long time ago.
Okay.
Yes.
So, your parents, were they strict?
Not they weren't that strict with us, but we knew what we are supposed to know.
Okay.
You know, and we didn't go over the boundary.
And what happened if you went over the boundary?
Spanking.
I take it you didn't get too many of those.
No. Only I remember once.
Okay.
We lived over on Holland Avenue, and it was a Sunday morning. It snowed Saturday night. We go to Sunday school. That was in the afternoon then. Last thing my father said, do not play in the snow. 2 houses down from our house, didn't I throw a snowball and he caught me? All 3 of us had to go back to the house and got a spanking. I was one that sort of daring person then.
Did that daring continue later on in life?
I can't really say that. I guess I must learn how to discipline myself. I'm not sure, but it wasn't like that when I got older.
So what was the most important thing that your parents taught you?
Always respect. Respect your elders. Thank you. Say thank you
Okay.
to people who do things nice for you. And always keep a little smile on your face. And I think they were, and of course we always had to respect our Heavenly Father.
Okay.
He's the one. So I guess those were the main things that we were taught.
Miss Caroline, who were you named after?
My grandmother,
Okay.
Mary Lewis, and my great-grandmother. Her name was Caroline Struthers,
Okay.
my great-grandmother. My grandmother's name was Mary Lewis.
And your great-grandmother is the woman who started the church?
Well, between the two, grandmother and great-grandmother.
Okay. And the
This-
name of the church?
Zion Baptist Church.
Okay. And you said it started out of her home.
Mm-hmm.
Was that unusual to start a church
I
that way?
suppose so. And that's what I've always heard, so I suppose that was unusual at that time.
So you came from a family of strong women.
But they were very...
And what did your grandmother work, or was she at home?
No, she stayed home. She had a laundry at home.
Okay.
She did laundry for the men that lived at the Merrill Cricket Club right here in Haverford.
Okay.
And then I can remember she bought a mango. It's a long thing, about so long. You heated these little cylinders.
Mhm.
You put them in the where they're supposed to go into the machine, and she did laundry, the men's shirts.
Okay.
And that was unusual. I think Nana was the first one that had one, because then I had a cousin, Wilbur Strother, that he started a damp wash laundry right here on Cricket Avenue.
Okay.
Didn't last too long, then he moved on up to New York.
So was education important to your family?
Yes, you had to You had to go. You had to go. But as I said, I sneaked off this morning after my sister had gone to school.
So you learned that school could be fun.
And Dad came up and got me. Right, this was the schoolhouse. This place here was a schoolhouse.
Okay.
We all went to it.
Caroline, we were talking about education earlier, and now I have in my hands your high school diploma that you've kept all these years.
Yeah.
And you went to Lower Marion High School.
Over here on Montgomery Avenue.
Why did you hold on to your diploma?
I couldn't tell you. I'm just a person that hate to. Some things I just hate to throw out.
Okay. Well, this is important. I mean,
Yeah, so I just kept it.
and this is family history now.
Yes,
Oh, you're graduating from that high school in 1934.
that's right.
That's a long time ago.
Yes.
So education was important to you and
Yes.
still is.
Yes.
What do you tell, what did you tell Carol?
Well,
She
I didn't
had
have
her-
to tell her about it because she knew she wanted to go to college. So, we said, but over in the high school over here, they had a class. If you didn't have parents, they paid the full tuition. If you had one parent living, you pay part, and then they pay part. That's what, I don't know, what year did you come out, Carol?
66.
Okay.
Yeah, way back then. So I don't know what they do over Lower Marion now.
Well, when Carol and your son had children, what did you tell them about being parents?
Oh, I could tell you anything. I don't think they ever asked, and I never thought to tell them.
Well,
They
did you
knew that they had to respect us older people.
Okay.
They knew that, and we gave them plenty of love.
And I think that's the key to raising children, is plenty
That's
of
why
love.
when I was working over here at daycare,
Mm-hmm.
I just loved every child in there.
And how long were you at the daycare?
And I was there 11 years. Once I had it all down, 11 years, so many months, so many days. But anyway, it was over 11 years.
And what made you decide to go work in a daycare?
Well, it was a funny thing. This young lady, that's a friend of ours, she lives here now. She had called up because she wanted to see if Carol wanted the job. And I said, like what? And she told me, work with you. I said, I wanted the Tina. I wanted.
Okay.
So I stayed there, took that job, stayed right there.
And were these preschool? Did you teach them nursery?
They're
rhymes?
little kindergarten. No, I guess younger because we had some babies.
Okay.
It's right across the street.
Okay.
That's just where it was. So she said, well, I want to see if Carol wanted. I said, I want it.
There
Just
you go.
like,
There you go.
I want it.
There you go, being that independent woman again. I'm taking the job. So, you became a nurse.
Practical nurse. I always wanted to be a nurse.
Okay.
When I came out to depression time, came out of high school, things were bad. So they couldn't afford to send me off to school, So later on, I guess my son was 5. So Carol had to be about 7 when I decided I wanted to go into practical nursing. So I saw this ad in the Philadelphia paper.
Okay.
So I went and signed myself in, and because that is something I always wanted to be. But this part will sort of kill you. I'm the only one that lived outside of Philadelphia. Coming out to school, it's up on North Broad Street. Here was about 5 or 6 little boys. I would say they must have been around 6 or 7. All surrounded me. I said, if you don't get out my way, I'm taking this bag and I'm going to knock all of you down. They flew a different direction. I put on the monkey face. Whoa, but I was scared though.
But you did it.
I did it.
And then after you got your license, what did you do?
Started into work.
And you worked with geriatrics?
No, I started to work most with home patients.
Okay.
Go to their homes and take care of them there. So, which I really like. One family bought me a car,
Oh,
so I wouldn't have to stand on the corner
and
to
worry
wait
about them
for the
6-year-old
bus.
boys.
But now the boys, they all lived in Philly, somewhere
Okay.
in North Philly, I'm sure. That's where they live. But coming out here to Ardmore, my home, I said the people that I was taking care of, they bought me a car, and so I didn't have to wait on corners for buses.
Did you know how to drive?
I learned very quickly. Yes, those were the days, really. They were nice people.
Okay. So, in your 20s and 30s, how old were you when you became a nurse, when you went back to school for being a nurse?
Oh, let me see. David was born, so I suppose down about 55.
Wow. So were opportunities, I understand that the depression and families not having money to do certain things, but were there good opportunities for women back then?
Well, most of women in Ardmore, they did housework, went to did housework. Yes, and there was the St. Mary's Laundry down here on Aubrey Avenue. And these ladies, I knew them all. They weren't no close friends, but I knew them. Every morning they had to get up early, walk over to St. Mary's, do their laundry, walk back home in the evening. I used to feel sorry for them, and when I got older and could see what they were doing, that was not easy for the ladies. But anyway,
It wasn't until I saw the film The Help that I realized how hard it was for our women to do that work day in and day out for years.
Yeah, that's right. It was hard work, poor dears. That's what I said. Yes, yes.
So, how important is family to you?
Well, I think if you have family, you got it.
Okay.
If you're all loving, close, and know what all the rules and everything are, nothing like family.
So, how did you meet your husband?
Well, he and his brother lived in Haverford, which is the next county up. They used to come down to Sunday school. But then after that, I never knew him anymore until I was about grown.
Okay.
But I think I was still had just come out of school. And then we started
Courting, as they called
going out.
it.
And he was everything to me.
And how long were you married?
We were married, well, about 46 to 47 years.
Okay. Any words of wisdom for a good married life?
Never go to bed angry. That's what I told him.
Anyway.
I had a good married life.
Okay.
Yes. And when Carol was born, practically all the people that we knew, they were so happy. Can you imagine people being happy because the baby was born? They all came over to the house. Some of them came there. I said, don't you dare make any noise. You can look at her. Don't talk. Because I had a hard time getting her back to sleep.
Well, and I also understand you had a hard time getting pregnant. So it took
Yes.
It took you 15 years before you had Carolyn.
And that all my friends, they were so happy. I never knew anything like that. People get happy because you're pregnant. Well, anyway, then she was born.
And how many years after Carol was your son born?
5. Wasn't that 5, 7?
7.
5.
7.
7 years.
I think it was 7 years.
So you had a long time between to get her ready for school and everything.
I had a friend always said, you're too anxious. Just try not to think. That's a hard thing, not to think about having a child. But anyway, I tried to do that.
Okay.
And I tried to give it up. Then finally, I became pregnant with my son.
Okay. So what advice would you have for parents to raise healthy children?
First thing, you gotta eat right. You got junk food. No, unless you're caught out
Okay.
and you can't help yourself. Okay, have a hot dog or hamburger. Eat good, healthy food.
Okay.
That's what I've always have done since I was a grown lady. Healthy food and need to get your rest.
And we're going to go back into that even more with the second half, talking about the healthy things. You're 101 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Were you involved in any of the civil rights movement
No.
activities?
I didn't do any marching, anything like that.
Okay.
No. I'll never forget that Sunday when those people in Birmingham, those officials, how they poured water out and knocked the children down. I'll never forget it. We were eating Sunday afternoon. You felt like you could get down there and do something to help, but anyway, I didn't do that.
So who was the first president you voted for?
Franklin D. Roosevelt was one that I knew.
Okay.
On up. Always voted. I had some friends that they never voted, and I tried to talk to them. I said, "You have to vote." I said, "For the people you think is going to be the best for you."
Okay.
So eventually, they did.
Okay.
Yeah, they did.
So
now they're all passed away too.
Okay. So, did you vote for President Obama?
Oh, indeed I did. Indeed I did. It was a happy day.
Did you ever think that you would live to see an African American president?
Never thought that. But it was sure a happy day. I said to people that knew me, I said, I wish my mother and father were still living so they could see this. A black president of the United States. It was a happy day.
Why was that so hard to believe?
Because the people, white people back there, thought that they were it. They could do anything. They never dreamed to be a black president. Well, we got one.
Not only did we got one, we got a good one.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Miss Caroline, how many generations are living in your family now?
Oh, you got to help me there, Carol. Now, I guess would you start with?
You, starting with you.
With me. Then there's Carol and David.
Okay.
As my children. And the guy that's 4. And who else?
The great-grandchildren.
Great-grands. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Miss Carolyn, it is said that age is just a number. Is that true?
Not really. I don't think so. Respect your age, please. After you get a certain age, I think you got to be respected for living so long and know what's going on in the world. And I remember last year when we were over to Brussels. Well, we had got home when the devil got loose in Brussels.
Yes.
Well, first place, my pastor he said, "I don't think you all should go." Well, I was going to go anyway. Nobody going to stop me from going to see my grandson and his family.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, we went. We didn't have any trouble. We went and got back safely. Then after that, the devil did get loose.
Okay. So how many other countries have you traveled to?
Brussels and Spain. Those were the only 2, weren't they, Carol?
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So getting back to aging, what's the biggest surprise for you about aging?
About aging?
About reaching 100 years old. What's the biggest surprise?
Well, my biggest surprise that I could travel. That I had good health, a reasonable amount of good health I have, and I can travel.
Okay. All right.
That's it.
After I interviewed Carolyn Merrill, I realized it was important that I include a little bit more information about the role of the washerwoman in our community. So I visited with Vasti Du Bois at the Colored Girls Museum and asked her to talk about the importance of the washerwoman.
So this is the washerwoman room in the Colored Girls Museum, and it has been curated by Denise Davis and Mona Morton. They really wanted to do a tribute to the washerwoman, which is, she is a foundational figure in our history, as Black folks, in our history as colored folks, because after emancipation, when Black men couldn't get a job, and in some cases were being picked up and put back into slavery because they couldn't find a job, Black women continued to work for many of the households where they had formerly been enslaved. And much of the work they did was domestic work. They took in the laundry, they did the ironing, and they took care of their families. I mean, washerwomen are responsible for putting people through college. They're responsible for keeping folks from being lynched. They're responsible for being able to purchase land, for just taking care of their families. And this is a part of our history that too often we really don't give the credit that it deserves. And Mona and Denise discovered in the process of deciding what kind of installation they wanted to do for the Colored Girls Museum that both of their maternal grandmothers, were in fact washerwomen. And this is a permanent exhibit in the Colored Girls Museum because it is such an incredibly important part of our history. When people come to the Colored Girls Museum on Sunday, this is one of the spaces where people are really, really moved and almost transfixed in the space, and it stands to reason. As I said, many of us have washerwomen and domestics in our family. It's a part of our history that too many of us are ashamed of. And I'm so glad that Mona and Denise did this space because it really creates a place of honor for this incredibly important work.
If we can gather to march 1 million strong, then why can't we gather in small groups to resolve one small problem in our own lives? If we can spend millions of dollars on anything and everything, then why can't we put money aside as individuals or a group to accomplish one small financial goal? If we can put aside our differences and speak to each other without anger or calling each other out of our names, and give love and respect to each other for a few hours while marching, then why can't we come together for a week to work on solving one small problem? When we recognize that we have to begin the most important undertaking in our history of saving ourselves, our children, and our communities, that in order to survive in the 21st century, we have to focus our time and energy on loving ourselves for ourselves, then we are marching more than 1 million strong.